Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. FYI for you free YouTubers, our daily brief was like an hour and a half today. We picked apart Bitcoin big time. Various different setups all over the place. Let's just make sure that this is actually recording. I think big time. Yep. All right, that's good. So that's working away. Unfortunately, I actually have to go teach a class here in 40 minutes. It takes me a good 10-20 minutes to get that class up and running. So I'm not going to talk a lot here today on the free broadcast. By all means, if you want in-depth analysis of the corn, then I would strongly suggest you maybe consider joining the site because, like I said, we spent a lot of time dissecting all this morning. Clearly, what's driving the market, if you're living under a shell, you are not aware of the fact that crypto is enjoying a very substantial rally here this morning. The only problem that I have is this believable? Do we have enough anecdotal evidence here to support the idea of the market trending higher just yet? I for one am still a little bit skeptical, but let's get on with just the quick brief market overview just to give you an idea of what we're thinking over here at TRI. So as always, I always like to start out, what's the sort of tone of the market here? US dollar index, we fractaled out a couple weeks ago, dumped hard last week. Interesting to see inside bars trying to be painted this week. We're going to have to see what next week's price action is. Today, of course, is Friday. So we might just inside bar our way back up top. And I've sort of talked a little bit about that, what risk on, risk off. It's interesting, not only from a crypto front, but I think, on the Daily Brief today, we all said, I think the whole market got China'd today. We used to have a drinking game on the site where we go, China, 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 don't get China'd. Anyway, longtime followers of TRI know that joke. Anyway, point of the matter here is, Mr. Zuckerberg, of course, that was sort of the negative sentiment of Bitcoin and crypto through the week, testifying in front of the U.S. House of Representatives. And, from my perspective, one of the key issues that he brought up with them was, look, you do what you have to do, but understand, if the United States doesn't stay in front of this technology, in front of this innovation, others will take over. And that's probably not in the United States of America's best interest. And lo and behold, look at what Mr. Z said overnight. He came out and basically said, it's in China's best interest to get in front of this blockchain technology. We're embracing it. We're endorsing it. And oh boy, here we go. We do find it a little bit coincidental that this kind of talk happened right at the last trading day for Bitcoin futures for the October 2019 contract. A little bit suspicious here. The interesting thing is, I think you can make the argument nothing actually fundamentally has happened in this space other than just sort of sentiment. And the way that we sort of build it here through today was kind of like, this felt like almost like a short covering rally, a short squeeze, especially if we look at something like the Bitcoin futures contract that we like to follow on the site. And what's really interesting is over the past few days and through the broiler chicken shows and stuff, I had sort of mentioned, and we talked lots about this in the Daily Brief today, these two candles alone on the CME contract, that's over a $2,000 price range. This low to this high is about a $3,000 price range. So, seeing a bit of volatility injected into the market right at the end of this massive fractal is not really too shocking. I think it's important. Actually, we'll do a bit more crypto in a moment. Let's just go back and finish sort of our conversation about broader market. What's going on with sort of also too, we also got some news. I didn't tweet it out yet because I've just been too busy with crypto stuff. But We also talked today about how the Chinese and the Americans are saying they're making progress towards resolving their problems. And that injected a whole crap load of risk on kind of conversation into the market. It's interesting too. Bitcoin has now decided to join the risk on party. So, in a weird sort of way, maybe Bitcoin was a bit of a trap here. I don't know. But you can see risk on proxies that we like to follow. Stocks are pressing up against those old highs. I talked yesterday about how I didn't mind the idea of taking short shots up against here. But because of the, kind of effery in the market, you can see they took the market to slightly new highs here. This was slightly higher than this high. Could we get a little bit higher high push up into here just to screw, day traders, swing traders, I guess, run some stops, yada, yada, yada? That wouldn't surprise me. But having said that, let's call a spade a spade. If we break out here, and I did a study here the other day, if we do break out through this 113 extension, then, and this is the higher time frame on this one, then really our next stop here is 310. And if we get sort of a tsunami of, bullish sentiment, trade wars have ended, all that kind of talk, then what we might see happen, and believe it or not, I've seen this happen before too, is this actual market pivot bottom, and believe it or not, I was still looking for some weakness into this. This might actually paint the base, and maybe we, through early next week, whatever, into the Fed meeting, that kind of stuff, we pull back here a bit, and it might actually set up that big bull ABCD that takes us up into that 310 area up here through this part of the cycle. Very possible. It's just, market will do whatever it wants to do. I think long and short of this whole sort of risk on, risk off conversation is interesting to see the bonds have actually emmed out here again. Remember the other day we were talking about there's something not right about this yen. Why is it emming out here? And yen is actually coming off and making new lows here. And then finally, and I thought this was so cool, I talked lots about this in the daily brief today. I was sort of thinking, gold's looking uppy. I looked at some of the gold stocks and I was kind of like, maybe we're carving out head and shoulders. Look at that, eh? What do you think, Kevin? Was that a pretty good prediction? That's almost spot on. Maybe we're fractaling out here, head and shoulders, that kind of idea. Did think that the top of this wedge was going to curtail price, but it's interesting to see how the market, all of the gold stocks, they all jumped higher here on the open, and now they're pulling back. And then, like the gold itself. And what I mentioned yesterday, we had Julian on the Daily Brief. He does his weekly baby powder report. And I was kind of like, it looks like gold wants to push higher here. And he's kind of like, I'm totally fading this rally if we get a pop up to like this 1510, 1520 area. And look at that. Julian, you fucking rock star. Great call, sir. I don't know whether we're going to completely crap out here. But I'll tell you, if the risk honors just go into an absolute orgy here, watch out, risk off. You might just get your butt handed to you. So, I was kind of thinking that the oil was nearing the end of its move, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe we've AB equals CD'd out here. Stocks come up against the top end of their ranges and start to roll over here. And this is sort of kind of the sentiment that I'm hearing on the site. This morning, we have a great community of traders, and they're still not totally convinced that this is a breakout. Things like the CME contract expiry, the sort of sentiment short squeeze kind of idea out of this China news. And then if you actually look at the trends on the corn, remember that weekly level that we were talking about. Gee whiz, here we are right back at good old Mr. Gann's 50% level. After a while, this stuff starts to drive you crazy. So, all we did was just oscillate around the bottom end of the range right back up into the top end of the range. We were also talking today, too, and this is important for those people that like to follow like public commentary, because a lot of people in the public, that's not what I wanted. A lot of the people in the public were talking about things like the death cross. Oh, where the hell am I now? I'm completely lost. And I think it's important just to remember that what usually happens on a death cross. Why am my head's frozen here? Oh, that's why. This is our RSI chart. I won't talk about this, but it was a great signal here for those lower time frame players. But often on the death cross, I think that's over here, you actually get a check of the actual moving averages on the event. So I was suggesting to site people that, this is probably nothing more than just that check. And if anything, what I'm kind of thinking here, we've talked lots in the public about this before, if institutions want to get short, they can't sell down markets because they'll just kill the order book if they hit the bid. So they actually engineer up markets, and as the public is getting euphorically bullish, they sell into those rallies. So, on this move, we don't even have a bullish divergence confirmed here yet. Bulls have woken up, so that's good to see. The bears were totally in control here. So I think, what we've sort of said is that, look, everybody's on pause right now. Things like the bot, short setup that we had working, and yesterday I'd sort of said I expected a bounce into this area and then a rolling over. We did get that bounce, but it turns out she wanted a hell of a lot more. And the bot rules just simply say, look, you got to walk away at scratch. And that's basically what that was. And it was great to see people on the site were just like, yep, got stopped at scratch. No big deal. This has gone a long way. It's interesting how we had this old wick up here that really needed attention, and gee whiz, that's where we are now. But, in essence, and of course, lower time frame players, things like, day traders, they were actually told to, cool their jets actually right here last night. And that was at about 2 o'clock in the morning on that double bottom breakout. So, interestingly enough, they were short off of these fractals, and then that got stopped out. 1 hour turned back up, and so as a result, everybody that's thinking trend continuation, you're on pause right now. So 4 hours now turned up. This guy's officially on pause. We're not trending anymore. So, just to finish off this sort of Bitcoin crypto thought, I'm thinking that we need to see some sort of consolidation here. 38.2 is off of this entire range just to decide whether this really is a bull or a bear. We actually could very easily see the market work its way right back up to 9,800, basically back up against this original market structure fail level. But right now, it's too early to either declare that we're going up top there or to declare that this is a top and we fail. Good old trend line conversations. If we can W out on the other side of this trend line now, that might set up things like bot continuation trades to take you up into there, those people that play like 4 hour setups. If we M out here and we can't get through that high, then odds are we have to come right back down and test this trend line from the other side. So really exciting times here in the market, but higher, and this is a really good commentary on what I've been sort of saying all along here is this is a horrible trade location. People that shorted here are now getting run over. People that bought here probably got stopped out. This is a conversation about WD GAN at 50% level, and the way the damn 50% level is just acting like a magnet right now. So there you go. Merry Christmas. Good to see. We'll finish off today with might be seeing some signs of things like bottoms on Ethereum. Imagine that. Reload zones. Finally getting really, really wide W. We might even get a nice little trend line resolution. So we're starting to see some encouraging signs here. Nice little W here. I think you could actually justify hunting longs on Ethereum. And then finally, and I think this was the tell the whole night, I had talked to you guys yesterday about watching this BNB coin closely because I really think this is an excellent proxy for sort of the altcoin market, kind of the health of sort of the non-crypto or non-Bitcoin specific core. Did put in a W, other side of trend line, worked its way up, M'd out, came back down, and what was really interesting about this, of course, is if we zoom in really closely, we notice that this was a reload zone tag. I think it was like Mountain Man. Right into here. I mean, just a sick level. But probably more importantly is they brought the market down into this original market structure level, and somebody who put the bottom in this said, I don't think so. Get your ass out of there. Really good example of inside bar reversal. A nice little fractal signal there, and you can see the end result. So hats off to the BNB boys. I think that they actually were the ones that put the bottom in the market. And interesting to see, we'll finish off this. This is sort of an ongoing study of mine. What is the relationship between things like BNB and Bitcoin? So here, and maybe this is a little tell we can use, a tool. Notice the divergence. Bitcoin went to new lows, BNB did not. Does that mean that the crypto market is healthier than what Bitcoin is telling you? Tough to say, but it was really interesting study that we've been talking about on the site today. Okay, I think I'll leave the summary at that. Hope yourself a great day. All the best. And of course, we did a really long conversation on the site today. So, if you do get value out of this, maybe to consider taking that next step and joining the site. Have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.